So this is going to be a quick video on how to begin your flat design selfie in Illustrator um, and getting it set up. So what you're going to have to do is navigate to the flat design selfie assignment that was from first quarter, where we did it on paper and color pencil. Okay. If you scroll down to your submission to the assignment, you're going to see a download button right here. So what's going to happen is whatever you turned in, here's my example that I turned in. I'm in student view right now in Canvas, so I'm acting as a student. So this is what you should see on your end as well. So I'm going to click this download button, and it's going to send it to my downloads. Okay. So from here, you need to go to Illustrator. Now, I'm going to show you, this is my completed selfie right here. I'm going to get back to that, but first let's go to File. I'm going to go to Open, and we're going to go to Downloads. And it should be the most recent download, which is right there. I'm going to select it and then open it. So here we have it's imported. Now we're going to treat this like a template, basically like we did the worksheets, okay? And we're not going to work on this layer. Now, if you notice my workspace, I have set it up where it works for me. Most everything's kind of stacked up all under one kind of panel. Notice what I've done is I've taken out my layers, I've taken out my color, I've now got my Pathfinder. You're going to have to get a window, and you're going to have to select. So you can select on color, which is here, because you're going to need that. You're going to need layers. Going to need Pathfinder. Okay, Pathfinder is what this is, and that really helps you a lot if you've gotten used to using that. Okay, so the other thing is the property, so you can see the stroke, right, and be able to control that as well. All right, so what I have is my first layer here, which is my image that I've opened up. So I want to basically lock that because I don't want to work on that layer. That means if I've got any of these tools, right, let's say I got the shape tool, notice it's not going to work. Can't work on it, right? I don't want you to turn this in when you're done. I want it to be cut off, just like that. Okay, so I want to see your work and your work only. Okay. What you're going to do now is come down here to this little box with the plus in it, create new layer, and you can start creating layers for all your different parts of your portrait. Okay. Now you can rename these layers. If you click on layer 2 right there, if I'm going to make my head shape on this layer, I can rename that head. Think of it like Mr. Potato Head or a collage, where you're taking these different elements and sort of then just sort of attaching it to the different parts. And think of the layers in terms of what's on top of one another. No, obviously the nose and the mouth could be layered on top of the head shape, right? Now the ears could be made and then stick behind the head here and so forth. And the collar makes sense that it would stick on top of the neck, and the neck could go up behind the head. And I'll show you an example of that in just a moment. So whatever you're doing, then I could, create more layers. Actually, and also I can move these. Let's say, like I said, the neck, and the neck could go up behind the head. So what I could do is then I could move these layers. I could click and hold and drag these things. You see that little hand right there? It appears like a hand. Then come down where you see that little blue line right there. That means I'm going to place it right there. So I can rearrange these layers as I go as well. Okay. So I think that's pretty much as far as I want to go as far as the setup goes, as far as showing you this. Just make sure as you go, I highly advise that you save your work as you go, because I've had students lose work. I've lost work where you'll be working and something frees up and you lose everything. And you don't want that to happen. So what you should do is maybe when you get about 10 minutes into working on this, go to File, go to Save As, go to save on your computer. Now actually, I don't understand why this is given a file type of Adobe, but you need to make sure it's AI, because I open it up, it is a PDF when I open it up. So make sure it is saved as an Illustrator file. Then I'm going to rename that. You name it whatever you want to. So I select all this. Selfie. Actually, I think the name of the assignment to turn in is going to be Flat Design Selfie Finish. Okay, so that's going to be what the name of the assignment is that you turn in. So you can go ahead and name it that. And then you can go to your desktop, find your folder, and then save it there. Okay, then what's going to happen, so move out of the way. So you'd save that. And I'm not going to save that because I'm not actually going to be working on this. I'm just doing as an example. Then what you would do after you saved it, let's say 10, 15 more minutes after working, all you have to do is then go down to save, which is Control S. So if you just go Control S on your computer once in a while, like every 10, 15 minutes, and then you can save and update your save onto your computer so that when you put more time and effort into your work and you've got all these multiple saves and at those different stages, if that makes sense. Cool. All right. So I'm going to go back to my original one that I completed and show you all my layers. Okay. I want to show you how I can unlock and also cut off and cut on and lock all these at the same time. So notice all these are unlocked. I'm going to press the Shift key on my computer, and then I'm going to click and hold and then drag. And notice what's happening. All these locks are appearing there. So if I want to cut off these layers, I'm going to hold the Shift key on my computer and then click and hold and drag, and it cuts off all my layers. Okay? And so there's my original layer that I worked off of, right? So I can just go back and individually open these things up. Now notice, I'm going to go up the ladder, so to speak, in my layers and show you how I have this arranged. So I have my neck, the shadow. Notice how it's not really shaped quite, right? And that's only because my head shape is going to overlap it and create that contour. So just think about, you can take shapes and kind of slide them up under other shapes, and the contour of the shape that's above it will shape the contour or of the shape below it. Okay. So for instance, even with the ears, notice how my ears extend in further, so they don't have to be right up to the edge where they need to be, because my head shape will take care of that. Okay. My head shape being on top of that then finishes the shape of the ear. Okay. Because they share the same contour. Okay. Now this was tricky. The shadow and the highlight, they do share the same contour. And I showed you how to do that with the Pathfinder tool with the divide tool, right? We kind of drew this shape kind of over it, and then we selected everything, did the divide, then unselected everything, and selected that part of the shape, delete it, and now these both share the same contour, right? So there are times where you want things to share the same contour, right? And so anyway, such as that. So I'm going to go up the row here again. There's my collar. It's on top of everything. My mouth, my nose, my hair. Now my hair, I did use the pen tool. I didn't use the shape tool at all for that because it's so organic. There's my eyes, and there's my glasses, and I guess that was something I was demonstrating, I guess. So I can trash that. I can click and drag that down to the trash can and trash that. I don't know if y'all knew about that. There is one thing I want to show you real quick. When you want to make multiples of things, like my eye shape, like if I come over here, I'm going to take one of my selection tools, my direct select that. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. If I hold the Alt key on my computer, you'll see that happen to my cursor. I'm going to hold the Alt key, then click on my mouse, and then drag. You can make multiples of things, like copies. Okay? Look like a spider now. So anyway, so whenever you get duplicates, like my glasses, once I made one, I then kind of did that. I made a duplicate by pressing the Alt key. And then I went up to Object, Transform, and Reflect to make that one. So whenever you got duplicates, things like your ears or things like that, you want to duplicate, just know that's a quick way to do that. It's holding the Alt key. All right, so when I'm ready to turn this in, you can still see my original. This was actually a screenshot I worked off of. I'm just going to cut that lower layer off, the template. So I even named it template. And I'm going to turn it in just like that, right? And to turn it in, if you remember, you're going to go to now, export as, and that's going to be a JPEG, okay? And then you're going to turn that in, okay? So when you're all done and finalized, that's when you do the JPEG, because what that's going to do is it's going to get rid of all your layers, but still save this, keep this as an Illustrator file. Remember, dude, just Control S as you go, so you can save your work as you go. And then once you've finished it, make sure you do that. Make sure you saved it. You got all the Illustrator file layers and information. And then that's when you finally, we might be experiencing something here. Or luckily I have it saved. You see that's in not responding. That's not a good sign. So let this be a real-time lesson here. We'll see if this comes back, and I'll let you know what happens. So heed my warning, okay? Make saves of your work as you go, because you might lose your work, okay? We don't want that to happen and then have to start over. Okay, that's it. Came back. I don't know why. Somehow I must have clicked something I shouldn't have. Okay, all is good.